Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Diana and I am a travel and landscape photographer, and I have been very fortunate enough this year to have done so much travel and experience a lot of really beautiful things. So I thought it would be fun to do a little photo review, just kind of talk about some of my favorite photos that I took this year, talk about some of the adventures or things going on behind the scenes. There are numerous vlogs for a lot of these trips that I went on and a lot of Seattle vlogs as well. I'm excited to talk about these trips, and maybe hopefully this will help with planning in the future, and we can just kind of reminisce a little bit about a very full year for me. So I feel like I should shimmy. So for New Year's Day and the first week of January, my friend has her birthday and she wanted to go to Vegas, and we did so much desert photography and exploring around the area. This trip was wild. I was up until I was at a New Year's Eve party in Seattle, and then I flew out at like 4 or 6 a.m. To go to Vegas. Our first day was to go to the Valley of Fire State Park, which I've been to before, but it is such a beautiful photo opportunity, great hiking trails, very easy and accessible, and I believe less than an hour outside of Vegas. And of course I had to get the iconic, what I would consider like an Instagram view, where you can get that gorgeous road just driving off into the mountainscape, and I don't really think I got that the last time I was there. It has been several years, so I felt really good about a lot of these shots. It was nice to start off the year with some sunshine and warm weather, and I'm actually doing that again this year. I'm doing New Year's Eve in San Diego, so I'm actually looking forward to being in a little bit more of a deserty area in January. In the middle of January, I went out and did a solo peninsula trip out on the Washington Peninsula. I rented a cabin that was really fun, but totally much more appropriate for couples than solo. And I definitely experienced one of like the top 3 sunsets of the year. We'll talk about maybe a couple more throughout the video. I've never really experienced one that just kind of, I think it's going to be done and it just keeps getting pinker and darker and more vibrant and changing, and it might get dim and then explode again with pink colors, and it just felt really beautiful to sit out kind of random. I remember this day I was going to Cape Flattery and I kind of timed it wrong, or I really didn't know what I wanted to do. Cape Flattery's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and I also believe that I didn't think it was going to be a good sunset, so I really didn't want to be a mile out from the parking lot in the dark and then have to drive deep home. So I started driving along kind of a random coast. The Washington Peninsula is a little bit more broken up, especially in the northern part, because there's a lot of Native American reservations, and so I would definitely have to look on a map to see where I was, but I just had to pull over and just kind of absorb the sunset for like where I was at the time, and it was just me sitting out there, a couple other cars passed, and it was really nice to have this quite intimate moment. Because of where I was and the time of year, it's just kind of like pretty desolate. And yeah, I such a gorgeous sunset, and I'm hoping to really grab a lot more winter sunsets because I feel like they are so pastel and stunning. I'm really hoping to get a lot more snowier pictures for the winter this year. We did a quick Vancouver trip and then hit up North Cascades and Mount Baker and did some snowshoeing up there. I love photographing Mount Shushkin, but heading in the Artist Point area is like one of my favorite places in Washington, and we really lucked out in having such a beautiful bright day, and I'm really hoping to get more photos like this in the future. When I think about my whole catalog of nature and landscape photography, some of my favorite pictures have been taken around here. There's gorgeous hikes, and snowshoeing was really fun to do for the first time and something I want to do in 2026. Seattle had the big duck come visit. This was really fun. I was running errands this day and I was like, I'm going to be south and kind of near it, so I should just go and find it. And I really loved little side quests, Seattle cute things like this happening. This is why I live in a big city, is to have these really cute little things happen. So I got to see the big duck. Oh my gosh, this was a hike I'd been wanting to go to for years. This is Dead Man's Cove out on the Washington coast down south by like Cape Disappointment. This trail had been closed for years due to trail renovations, and I think just letting the habitat rehabilitate itself. It is such a cool place. You definitely want to come at high tide. That way that little island is fully submerged. It's a very easy hike, and it's on your way to the lighthouse as well, to Disappointment Lighthouse. There are 2 lighthouses in the area. Really interesting history there. One is a state-run lighthouse and one is a federal one. I was so excited to finally go down this little cove and see the little island, and it just seems like a very early Pacific Northwest inspiration photo that I found when I first moved here, and then I was just bummed that the numerous times I went out to Cape Disappointment that it was closed. This is an abandoned ferry that was on one of the islands. A friend of mine and I were kind of slowing down a little bit, but we've been trying to do all of the islands in Washington state, and a lot of them, of course, you can take the state-run ferries. A lot of them have their own little smaller local ferries, and we're kind of at the point now where we're gonna have to start kayaking or finding our own boat transportation. But this was on Anderson Island, and it was really nice to check off. This was definitely the highlight of the island. I only found out about this because one of my other friends does have a boat, and she is much more familiar with the southern islands down there, and she just posted about it. And so it's really cool story. It never was used in the Washington fleet. It came here all the way from Virginia, and it just kind of was abandoned, and now it's in this like random bay. There's a lot of private property around there, so be careful. But yeah, this totally just reminds me of checking out all the islands with my friends. Man, I really got to look at that island list and try and figure out what we have left to do. I went out to Phoenix in February, and I really had a fun time trying to find different cityscape shots of downtown. There's a lot of really cool hiking trails that I would love to do in Phoenix. Some more harder stuff that we just didn't have time for, but there's so many little mountains that you can do with great skyline shots. This is from, I believe, Camelback area, and I really just loved getting the mountain in the back, and this photo in particular. Those palm trees just makes it feel so LA, but it's definitely Phoenix, and Phoenix has some of the most stunning sunsets. Here we go, another sunset of the year was on Dobson Mountain I love the saguaro cactus silhouette, so I always really enjoy photographing those, and this sunset was so crazy with its colors. We had burning deep reds and then these beautiful pastel colors, and I just took my zoom lens and got these beautiful ridgeline photos with the cactuses. My goal was to go out there and find the specific view of the cityscape of downtown Phoenix, and I definitely got something. I really wanted to get kind of multiple layers of mountains. There's also another photo that I found that I don't think I'd be able to do without a even more telescopic lens, where you can get these bright colorful houses all in it. But I really enjoyed the shots that I was able to get, and this, I remember, was very specific, something I kind of had to hunt down to try and locate. But I've always had really good times going out to Mount Dobson South. Oh, it's Dobson Point. The mountain is South Mountain. I've always had really good time out on South Mountain, whether in the day or doing sunset shoots like this. And it is a lot of stuff that you can just drive to, some great viewpoints or light hiking, as well as some bigger trails. But it was a very easy location to shoot at. I love to do the springtime flower shoots in the springtime in Seattle. So definitely checking the cherry blossoms first at the quad, and just every year trying to come up with things a little bit different, seeing what kind of colors or boldness that they'll be. It has become more and more popular, and I think I would love to do like an early morning shoot, maybe a sunrise. Because of how the quad is set up, a sunset or sunrise isn't really going to help you with like getting more dynamic colors on the flowers, but I do love shooting through the trees, and yeah, just it feels so good once the spring flowers come and the sun is there. Like everything's starting to wake up. And of course, going up to the tulips in Mount Vernon or North Washington area. I just love photographing tulips. One of the days we went, it had just rained, so there's so many different varieties to shoot from. It's so colorful. But yeah, always something really fun and easy to shoot for me. And then I was in Miami and I really had a wonderful time in Miami. I was not expecting to be such a highlight of the year. I'm originally from Florida. I lived there until I was 13 in southern Florida. And I don't really think I had much experience with Miami because I was a child, but I lived in some of the suburbs up north a little bit. But I really fell in love with a lot of the Art Deco, and the lifeguard stations on Miami Beach are all really different. So it's kind of like a fun quest that you can go on and look at all of them. Miami Beach is quite a long beach, so I think there are tens of them, like quite a lot. And a highlight of that trip was 100% kayaking to Raccoon Island. It was such a really fun experience, of course, getting there, but we took a boat to where we picked up our kayaks. We had a great tour guide who gave us a lot of really fun information and found some other animals. And of course, a little bit more wildlife. I definitely went to Florida. I was like, I have to photograph some gators. I had a really fun time in the Everglades. I'd like to spend more time and do more exploring. I did see a bunch of it. I went all the way down to the south, but next time I definitely need to get some sort of boat. I definitely need to do some sort of boat tour the next time I'm in the Everglades. And camping seems really good down there as well. And I'm really proud of a lot of the alligator photos that I got. And it is, I do remember this as a child. It is crazy that they're just like there. They are very close to you, and you don't have to go far, and they are just there. You can find them. I could totally see myself going back to South Florida. I really didn't get to go down to like Dry Tortuga or the Keys, and there is so much party life there. Of course, the beaches are gorgeous. Something that felt so freeing and just so life fulfilling. So this was a solo trip for me. I booked a hostel bed for about the week that I was there, and I made sure I was like a block or so from the beach and from Miami Beach. And every morning I would wake up and take my beach bag and walk to the beach and watch sunrise and go take a dip and really soak in those beautiful, calm, early morning sunrise colors, and just gorgeous. Yeah, I have some sweet memories of just being out at the sea in the early morning. When I was back in Seattle, they had a super bloom of the sunflowers. I need to do better at tracking the sunflowers, like what time of year. They are kind of far outside of Seattle. They're pretty much 3 hours any which way that you want to go see a big cluster of them. We went to an area near Leavenworth, so about 2.5, 3 hours from Seattle. Another place I went years and years and years ago was Dog Mountain, and that is South Washington State, so closer to Portland, which is again like 3 hours south. And this year was a super bloom, so I'm not sure what they would be considered each year, but I really was glad that me and my friends kind of took a Friday off and all piled in my car and went on some pretty quick hikes. I remember finding parking was kind of difficult. Finding the trailhead was a little difficult. I do need to get better about having the trailhead like location pinpoints or the coordinates, because I'm just used to being like, I'll find a sign, I'll find a parking lot, I'll find something when I get there, but I need to get better about that. But it was really nice to but yeah, this was really, really special. Like it seemed kind of like spur of the moment, just like with the fall leaves, like the spring blooms kind of feel this very like rush and fleeting, intentional, we gotta go, go, go attitude that is just so inspiring. And of course, because we were only there for like a day, I do wish that I would have caught this at sunrise or sunset. These mountains would have been gorgeous, but we went kind of midday and you can see all the different mountain ranges and you just feel like you're in a Disney movie, I swear. It is stunning. This was Rattlesnake Peak, and this was also kind of a little spur of the moment, let's go out early hiking season to do a quick hike and catch a really crazy sunset. This was like on like a Monday afternoon, and it totally inspires me to keep going, doing it more. And Rattlesnake is one that I hope to do a bunch more this year because it is not too far out from Seattle. It is a very, very popular hike. So if you can go on like a weekday, that might cut back a bit on how busy it is, but it's also what I would consider, like, for me right now, a light challenge. It's all uphill, which is something I really need to improve on. But it's something I can totally do. I'm capable of. It's, yeah, yeah, a light challenge. So something that might be good to do as light conditioning. I feel like every time I go out to Rattlesnake, I see people training for mountain climbing. Like I always see people with like the bags with like the ball weights in them. Another trip I did this year was to Maui. I'd been to Hawaii before, but not Maui. I've only been to Oahu. And I had a lovely time out there. Of course, I don't have to sell you on Hawaii. It's really been fascinating to learn a lot more about Hawaiian history and a lot of Hawaiian culture and the differences between the major islands that people visit. Maui is less city and urban than Oahu, but a little more built up and less jungly and remote than Kauai. So it was kind of like this perfect middle ground. And definitely a highlight of this trip was the snorkeling. I 1000% want to get more into underwater photography and looking into that. And one of my snorkels that I did just really shortly off of a local beach was seeing 4 stingrays swim around. This was crazy. One of the locals there told me that he had never seen 4 together like that, and he's been swimming at that beach for years. He'd seen 2 or 3, but never 4. And I took this snapshot from my GoPro, and yeah, 1000% want to get into a lot more underwater photography. Every time I see people pop up on it on TikTok or YouTube videos, I'm like, I really want to focus on this. I feel like in the new year, I want to focus on air, drone photography, and underwater, like just really expanding my scope. And of course, since we were on Maui, we weren't able to get reservations for sunrise at Haleakala. Also, if you want to do sunrise at Haleakala, you have to leave your apartment or whatnot. You have to leave for the sunrise at like 2 or 3 in the morning. It's quite a big feat. So we caught sunset and we were able to get to really enjoy this cloud inversion where we were like above the clouds and the sun dipped below, and you just feel like you're in heaven and on top of the world. And I'm not really afraid of heights, but just being on top of the mountain, I was like, wow, I just physically felt so high off the ground and so sheer, but it was such a crazy experience. One of my big goals for the year was to hike Mount Storm King. I have a whole vlog about this, but I did it, but I have to do it again. There's a rope portion at the end that it just really wasn't going to work that day. I had one friend who didn't make it far up the mountain who was waiting down below. I had another friend who 100% was like, I'm not doing the ropes. By the time I got to the ropes, climbing up Mount Storm King is quite a lot of elevation gain very quickly. And so I was just mentally very done, tired. And since I knew if my friends were with me and I didn't feel like I had to rush and I felt, you know, a little bit of a push, I would have done so, but those factors weren't there. And also it was quite crowded. There were numerous people on these ropes. So I 1000% want to go back, but I feel so proud and fulfilled to have gotten where I've gotten. And yeah, it was a hike I've been wanting to do for a while, and I don't know, I feel really inspired to do it again. I've been talking to other people about we're doing Mount Storm King and we're doing the ropes, we're doing it. And we'll 1000% have to do another trip out there. When I was out in the peninsula in the winter time, I was like, we have to plan a summer little peninsula overnight trip. And gorgeous, did it. Gotta do it again. Love the peninsula. Love the peninsula any time of year, man. I went out to see my brother in North Carolina, and I really enjoyed checking out Lucky Strike. This little area was very cute with different stores and just checking out an old factory. And while I was also in North Carolina, went and saw this. It's not a lighthouse, but it kind of looks like a lighthouse. I think it used to be what would you call it? A station. What is it called? But ran out and took this photo because I'd been seeing it on Instagram for years. And the Outer Banks is an area of the country I've been wanting to check out. Definitely need to go back. Did very little exploring of the area, like Kitty Hawk, and that's about it. But I just love how the beach grasses are out on the East Coast like this in that region. And yeah, definitely want to check out more of the Outer Banks, but I was glad that I got this shot that I'd been thinking about for many, many years. I'm so glad at all of the alpine lake swimmings and hikes that I had done in the year. And now when I just look at this picture, this is Goat Lake. This is just ultimate summer to me. This is ultimate summer in the PNW. This lake was one of the coldest I'd swam in for no good reason, but this is just quintessential summer. I went to Chicago for a week in the summer and really enjoyed doing more exploring. This is my third time to Chicago, and I feel like every time I go, I check out a lot more of the area, branch out a little bit more than just like the downtown popular regions, and I was able to go to some farther out neighborhoods. These were taken from a pool rooftop in, what neighborhood was that? And I was able to get a really fun skyline shot and do some swimming at the pool with a nice cold cocktail. Yeah, Chicago is a really fun place to visit. Oh, what a magical experience. Really lucked out with these seats, the timing, and just getting tickets to go see My Chemical Romance. I was at one of the higher seats and I was able to see the skyline. It is such a gorgeous view, and you totally can get views like this for other concerts and baseball events. But man, so magical sunset with My Chemical Romance. Oh, gorgeous. And the Seattle skyline in the back. This is probably one of my favorite shots. When we went out and did a week in Vancouver Island, I just wanted to get a very iconic, what I would consider like PNW, like British Columbia, these kind of like sea stack tree rocks out in the ocean. And we went to this beach that maybe at certain tides would be more submerged, but the way that the sun hit it was great. Vancouver Island is so gorgeous, and I've had beautiful times in the winter and the spring, and that was just taken outside of Tofino. Couple more from Vancouver Island was going to these TikTok viral swimming hole springs, which were so cold, but why is the water this clear up here? It's crazy. And this photo, it just looks like I'm floating in air. It's gnarly. So I was really thankful that we were able to pull over, do a quick dip. So cold. And then we also made our way out to San Joseph's Bay, which are known for these iconic sea stacks. This was something that was really exciting to do, but a little treacherous because you are kind of out, man. You are out remote, and you have to take a dirt road for an hour and a half to 2 hours, and you come across like this car that says like, don't forget, be prepared for the unexpected. And I was so worried about my Prius. Everything turned out fine, and I have a whole vlog about this, but I remember being really concerned about potholes and I don't know, just being so remote. So I have my Zoleo. We timed the tides so that in the afternoon the tide would be low so that the sea stacks could be visible for us to walk around through. And the roads were a lot better than I was expecting. It was mostly just washboards, so kind of annoying, but nothing too unmanageable for a regular car like a Prius. When we got to the parking lot, was I one of 2 not SUV cars? Yes, but still really crazy just to kind of be like out there. I do wish we did eat at the Ibis diner out there. By the time we got there, they had closed, but probably one of the coolest hikes that I did this year was going to the Castano plane crash on Tofino. A really easy hike, if not a little muddy, and then of course some climbing at the end, but it was just kind of like a really cool landmark to get to. Normally when you're hiking, it's like for mountain views, canyons, lakes, waterfalls, but a plane wreck. It's pretty cool. I think from here we head into my European trip for the year. We were lucky enough to catch the Northern Lights. I did not have a window seat, but a kind gentleman let me take a photo from his window, and I wish this photo was better. You can see my reflection in it, but you can, the colors were just so bright and crazy. So bopped around Norway for a little over a week. We made it to Bergen first, and then we traveled our way to Oslo. Bergen was a very cute town, really loved exploring that. 100% do the funicular, ride the little train up. You get such a great view of the city, some of the island mountains out there, the water. Most of my time in Norway was spent figuring out how to get on top of mountains to look at crazy views of water and mountain and city. So the funicular is a super easy one to do first in a great town like Bergen. Geiranger Fjord was definitely a main point to do when going to Norway. It's one of the most popular fjords, like all the Norwegian cruises go through there. I've talked to numerous people talking about going to Norway and they always talk about Geiranger. Probably the rainiest day that we were out there was to these fjords, but we still were able to really enjoy a lot of the mountain views, even if it was a little dark and rainy. And a lot of the fall colors. We lucked out since it was October. We wanted to do this hike where you would climb up and you could find this little old village and see the waterfalls from across. It's quite steep. There's some complications or some things. You can take a boat on your way back. It was a little more complex than we wanted to do on such a rainy day where it was probably going to be muddy and slippery. So we decided to take the ferry to the nearby town of Helset, where you do take the boat right past the falls. So we were able to see the falls. We also did a little bit of a hike outside of Helset and we were just on top of these fjords. It's raining. My friend took this photo of me just in pure bliss on top of these mountains in the rain, like just feeling alive. Another popular place is Troll Pass, and this was just such a wild, you drive out to this cliff and you're on top of the world again and you can just see this crazy highway that you're gonna go down to go to the town. And we really lucked out because we had quite a rainy, cloudy day. We were up in the mountains driving out and there was really not a lot of visibility. So we were like, oh man, are we gonna get to this vista point and not be able to see anything? But when we parked our car, there actually was a break in the sky, in the clouds. The sun came out a bit. There were rainbows. And we were able to really take in the full vista view. So thankfully, that was perfect timing on our part. I'm still editing a couple photos from Andalnes where we took the gondola up. You can hike up to the viewpoints up there, but it is a hike. We took the gondola up there and really beautiful location, lots of really fun boardwalk stuff. We had this really cool occurrence happening, this halo effect, because of where the sun was in relationship to us, the participation, all of that, where you'd get these rainbows around you and you could move and you see yourself within the rainbow, and it was a really cool effect. And everybody was just having fun on the top of this mountain, just like, look, I'm in a rainbow. But yes, I do have a couple more photos to edit from then, but this was another one where we got fortunate with the rain and the sun to be able to catch a little bit of a break where the sun could really be cresting out from the mountain peaks. This was a last minute stop at a national park, Dovrefjell, where it has Norway's only population of muskox or local muskox. This hike was really cool. It's more of a walk. You're kind of walking up out to this hill where you have this built-in cozy kind of visitor center. There was a guide and a fireplace and we just sat there and really enjoyed the view. I took some time lapses. All the animals had gone out east into the mountains for the year because of it being cold. I had some really lovely conversations with the guide who was manning her post up there, and it was really nice to talk to some locals, of course, who love nature and exploring and hiking in the outdoors. Made it to Oslo and enjoyed another one of the year's most spectacular sunsets. We were on top of the Opera House, so we had this really great vantage point, and this was just such a long sunset too. Like the colors were really bright for like 30 minutes. Like it was just crazy. After Norway, I went to Croatia and Slovenia. The big thing I wanted to do out in Slovenia was take photos of Lake Bled. I'm not really too excited about my photos of Lake Bled. We should have just done the hike where you get the vantage point of the island church as an island. Instead, I got really excited and want to go to the island. And I don't remember if we ran out of time. Oh no, we did another stupid hike thing and just destroyed our feet and took up too much time doing this thing, which this gorge walk, which was very, very cute. You have to park and ride, take a bus to the trailhead, wear your little orange helmet, which is adorable, do your hike, and then go back to the front and take the bus back. Now I believe there are two routes back to the bus, and one of them was closed and the other one was kind of through town. So my friend was like, why don't we just walk back to our car instead? And then we got a little turned around, and then we're in the fields and there's cows everywhere, and we totally just like messed up our feet. We should have just like went back to the bus. But again, I really liked how this was set up, and there was this cute little, little cafe out at the end of your little gorge hike, and I don't know, it was really cute. And yeah, I love this picture. I wish I could find more spots like this in the US. To me, this seems like a very European, like Bavarian, Swiss Alps, like you're just out in the middle of the mountains and there's a lot of already built up stuff for hikers and travelers. Kind of infrastructure for like walking culture that I don't think we have here in the States. So Slovenia I had a really lovely time in Slovenia. Would love to go there in the summer and get a proper shot of Lake Bled. But I still had a really lovely time. We then went to Croatia and heard about this town called Motovan, which we kind of more last minute ran out to for sunset. And this is a really cool town. It's like on top of this hill, and you walk up to the top, and we decided to have a beer and watch the sunset on this old feeling castle town out in these beautiful field orchards, and it just felt super European. And again, was just something that was kind of last minute thrown, which are some of my most favorite moments with travel, is kind of the unexpected things that you discover. And definitely our beer sunset at Motovan was one. I went out to Phoenix again for a family function, and I did not bring my camera. So I had to use my cell phone, and we went on some, because the last couple times I went out there, we hadn't really done much, and I always know you gotta bring your camera, you always gotta bring the camera. And we did some really cool hikes, and I really do love hiking and exploring the desert. And we did some really cool hikes like in the White Tanks area. Went out to the White Tanks for sunrise because I had a family member from the East Coast visiting, and she's like, I want to see the mountain a little bit and get a photo of a cactus. And I'm like, you are talking to the right person, let's go do this. And yeah, definitely gotta bring the camera. That was a full year of some of the travels. Like I said, a lot of these trips and things that I did all have vlogs, so be sure to check out the channel there. I want to know some highlights from your year in 2025. I would love to chat about that down in the comments below. But until then, Happy New Year, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye guys.